This is Motorcoach Travel News, MTN, from the American Bus Association. Here's Dan Ronan.
Welcome to Motorcoach Travel News. I'm Dan Ronan. We're coming to you from the summer meeting of the Bus Industry Safety Council. Nearly 140 members are meeting here near Baltimore, discussing critical motorcoach safety issues with a wide variety of experts. During 2 days, owner-operators, safety directors, and others were talking about best practices. Here are some of the topics: electronic logs and GPS tracking devices, new government regulations for CDL medical certificates, the problem with heavy coaches, a bus security overview, correcting safety and compliance issues before they occur, critical factors surrounding tire safety, accident litigation from the attorney's perspective, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's work on crash worthiness issues outlined in the MAP 21 Highway Bill. A panel of operators discussed the benefits and challenges of the new Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse, what it means to drivers and companies. And BISC members heard ways the National Safety Council is changing and evolving. This after the former high-profile chairman of the NTSB, Deborah Hersman, left government earlier this year to head up the safety agency. Joining us now is Mike McDonald, the chairman of the Bus Industry Safety Council.
There's a lot of great carriers out there that fight the good fight every day, that try and do the right things as best they can. And then there's that group of carriers out there that unknowingly and hopefully not unwillingly choose not to participate. I think a lot of it is just because of education. They don't know what the expectation is of the regulators. They don't know probably the expectation of what their customers are. And that's what we give folks here at BISC. We give them the education, we give them the tools, the opportunity to become that better carrier.
One of the speakers is Bill Quaid, the Associate Administrator of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration.
With the National Registry, are moving towards having a set of doctors that know exactly what the FMCSA standards are so that they can qualify the drivers correctly. My office is responsible. We put out bulletins, policies, and other type of things for the state enforcement officers so they know what they're supposed to be looking at roadside and what they're supposed to do if they might find a problem. We're also working very closely with our National Training Center. Anytime we put out something new, make sure that the National Training Center is on board so that we can get the trainers out there who are doing recurrent training and new training new inspectors, make sure they have the latest and greatest information.
Back in 30 seconds on MTN.
This coach runs on diesel, which is about 30% more efficient in its combustion than gasoline. But I know what you're thinking. Diesel isn't clean burning. But that's no longer true, because today's ultra-low sulfur diesel fuel is cleaner than ever. Check this out. See? It burns clean. All aboard the Green Highway.
MCI, Ultimate Curb Appeal, Uncompromising Reliability.
Back at the Bus Industry Safety Council meeting outside of Baltimore, joined by ABA President and CEO Peter Pantuso. Record attendance here at the BISC for a summer meeting.
But when I think about how far BISC has come in just a few years, I think the summer meeting 5 or 6 years ago had about 60 people, and we thought it was great. Now it's more than double that. This is a giant summer meeting, and we look to grow it when we're in St. Louis, January 10th through the 13th. And St. Louis being the gateway to the West, we know we've got a lot of interest in Western companies that are going to be able to participate in the BISC meetings.
We hear so much about the differentiation between good companies and those that are not so good. And if you're coming to BISC, if you're an ABA member, you really are, as a company, trying to distinguish yourself within the industry.
If you're participating at this level in the industry with the people that are around the table, that are part of the organization of the Bus Industry Safety Council and the association, you really are ratcheting it up to a totally new level. You're learning from one another, you're sharing the information. BISC and some of the BISC group are looking at developing some language that could be put into RFPs, making sure that safety is part of the RFP process, whether it's by purchasing managers or schools or universities, whoever that might be.
The calendar now says we're in the middle of June. That means we're 6 months away from St. Louis. and BISC will be meeting there, but also Marketplace.
There's a lot of interest that we're already hearing from companies on the West Coast, from the Midwest, on participating in the BISC meeting and having an opportunity because of its location this January 10th through the 13th.
It's time for the Green Operator segment, sponsored by MCI. With diesel fuel prices now hovering about $4 a gallon nationwide, Motorcoach operators and owners are always looking for new ways to cut and keep their fuel expenses under control. MCI's Brett Maitland says he hears this all the time.
We're focusing now on really how do we drive costs of operations down on the things that we can influence. A big one of those, like you mentioned, is fuel economy.
How a driver handles a Motorcoach makes a big difference.
We did an internal study where we said, okay, let's run the coach at 50 miles per hour out on the highway. That coach right behind us was getting over 10 miles per gallon at 50. Go up to 55, that drops down to 9 and change. Up to 72, where a lot of people like to run because they want to get there as fast as they can, aerodynamics takes over and it drops down into the low 8s, high 7s. So really aerodynamics takes a big role in it, how much you run the coach on cruise control. There's a lot of things that operators can do as well to influence fuel economy.
And MCI says that research it's doing at its Winnipeg facility and other locations is making its Motorcoaches even more fuel efficient. We have another great example of how ABA members are providing free or reduced cost Motorcoach travel to veterans groups and military families. Now Vice President Joe Biden and Dr. Jill Biden are thanking those companies for their great work. Recently, I attended a reception for TAPS, Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, a national military nonprofit that assists military families that have had a loss. The Bidens were the guest of honor, along with Senator Mark Begich of Alaska. The Vice President told me, "What your members are doing to help the military families and our veterans means a lot. We really appreciate it." The following ABA companies provided transportation services for the TAPS event: DC Trails, Haymarket Transportation, Airbus, and Reston Limousine. During the month of May, Star Coaches of Atlanta provided a beautiful entertainment Motorcoach that was driven from West Point, New York to Dallas as part of Carry the Load. The 2,000-mile walking relay journey is designed to raise awareness and bring more attention to Memorial Day as a time of remembrance to honor our deceased military veterans and first responders. And earlier this spring, Greyhound and Pacific Coachways charter services transported dozens of wounded warriors and their families throughout Southern California during a 2-day event. Actor Gary Sinise organized a private screening of the Academy Award-winning film Forrest Gump, and several cast members and other celebrities, including Tom Hanks, attended and met with the veterans. And that's the latest edition of Motorcoach Travel News from the American Bus Association. I'm Dan Ronan at the summer meeting of the Bus Industry Safety Council outside of Baltimore. Thanks for watching. See you next month.